Morning. Believe it or not, I actually bothered to show up. I accurately seed low-level divs. I think I got the vast majority of them right. This is Hothead Hop from Donkey Kong Country 2. I like to play a lot of Super Nintendo stuff. People have always pointed out, why are we playing Splatoon music in between sets on streams of Splatoon tournaments? And it's like, oh, that's right, maybe we should try something else. So I'm gonna do video game music from when I was a kid. Chrono Trigger, that's on the list. Chrono Trigger music's pretty, I don't know, sometimes Chrono Trigger music can be a little too deep for what this is. Tecmo Bowl music? Ba-na-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na-na. Maybe I'll just do the quarterback. Ready, down, hoot, 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 hoot. There's got to be a 10-hour video of that. Hold on. 10-hour Tecmo Bowl. Hut, hut, hut. 62 minutes and 21 seconds of... Oh, this is Tecmo Super Bowl, not the same thing. We'll just listen to this. Here. Just gotta, like, pick a play. Hold on. There we go. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. While you are counting the amount of crabs and booyah bombs that appear on the SAC stream, being told that there are not enough players online for you to get an X-rank match in, creating a twit longer because of a judgment call by a TO in a weekly. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Hey, you know what's fun about being a TO? It's not about the fact that you're like not getting paid or compensated or anything other than just the joy of being a TO. Is that everything you do is open to be criticized, whether what you did was correct or incorrect. It doesn't matter. Just by existing as a TO, you are going to be criticized regardless of what you do. It comes with the territory. This isn't the world's smallest violin. I don't care. I always say, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. TOing is not for everybody. But I do just want to point out the hypocrisy from some of the players that will constantly point the finger at TOs for things that they feel like are doing wrong, but when TOs do things right, they'll still point the finger. Case in point, there was a team, there is a team, and I'm not going to say who, but in their current Ludi div, in their current Ludi group right now, here is their record after 4 weeks. They lost week 1 in a 5-3 result, won week 2 in a 5-3 result, won week 3 in a 5-3 result, and lost week 4 in a 5-3 result. So what does that tell you? That team is 100% perfect. You could not put that team in a more perfect div or group than what they ended up in. That is literally 100% perfection as far as seeding goes. Out of 462 teams, we got that team 100% correct. 2 players from that team complain about the Ludi div that they got on Twitter. There's no winning. There's no winning with anybody. Just by existing, you are opening yourself up to get dunked on Twitter. Welcome to being the TO. Hey, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's not just a holiday where you get to have the time off to talk to idiots like you guys in chat. It's a day to reflect on one of the most influential human beings to ever exist on this planet. So happy MLK Day to all of us. I think that's just an American holiday, but to limit the things Dr. King did to just America, the influence is probably not fair. So just wanted to give a quick little acknowledgement to that, since that is the reason why I'm not going to work today until getting paid. News of tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. It is Low Ink Week. So no, SAC, if you really wanted to get a Low Ink Sindao Q badge, you still can't play in this tournament. But don't worry, you also can't get, like, there's badges for all the other Ludi divs. So, like, if you were to truly collect every single Sindao badge, it would take you at least 12 Ludi seasons to get them all at this point, and you'd have to start off and climb. You'd have to win every single div, and then you'd have to win, like, Div 12, and then play so poorly in every tournament since then that you get seeded in Div 11. Win Div 11, play, like, absolutely out of your mind, bonkersly bad to get seated in a Div 10. Like, it's impossible. But for those of you who are eligible for Low Ink, make sure you sign up now. We are already breaking records. We say that every single month because it is true. There are more teams signed up today on Monday than there's ever been at this point of the Low Ink sign-up season. What are we at right now as far as registration numbers? Why is this not the first page on Battlefy? 108 teams. And that is 108 teams after you saw on Twitter we started banning people last night. Those teams already got removed. So that 108 does not include all those teams that got banned and players. So this could very well get up to about 200 by the time we're done with this thing. So make sure you sign up early and often so that our staff can verify you. And if you don't put your splash tag in your name, you clearly hate the TOs. Don't go and tweet, oh, I love the TOs, respect the TOs. If you don't put the splash tags in, I know how you really feel about us. I can see it. No other tournaments going on this week that matters because Low Ink is happening. Sorry, not sorry. Today, we are going to recap the qualifier for SAC Season 6, which is now underway. Also going to be taking a look at some other tournaments that happened this past weekend. But the thesis of this SAC qualifier tournament is going to be, why are we not seeing more +3, recently purged from +3 players signing up for this tournament? All that and more. But first, as much as I enjoy making fun of Nintendo, and it has been an absolute pleasure of mine anytime Nintendo has done anything, because it's just an automatic free segment of the Popcast. It's so easy to just write a segment about Nintendo here on the Popcast. As much as I'd love to make fun of them, I have to admit, this is my guilty pleasure. I watch every single second of every single stream that Nintendo puts out that is involved in the Splatoon tournaments that they run. I love it. Oh my gosh, every single commercial they run, they keep playing the Mario Party commercial over and over again, even though it came out 2 months ago, and like nobody in chat was alive when that game actually came out, and it does not age very well at all. Yes, I was one of those kids that legit burned a hole in my hand playing Mario Party 1 because I wasn't going to let my older siblings beat me in the little spinny thing. That was me back in the early 90s, baby. But I didn't win. I mean, I did win, but it cost me my palms. I love every single corny joke that Jordan Kent makes. Oh my gosh, I love it. They're making sporty sport references. I live for that kind of stuff. Every single crab tank. I love it all. I love the Nintendo tournament, watching it. If you would enjoy it too as well, if you're willing to disregard the fact that the whole point of this tournament is to just make itself to be a giant ass commercial. That's all this is. When you break it down, the DNA of this tournament, it's just a 5-hour long infomercial for Splatoon 2 and a bunch of other stuff that's going on here. It's not just the commercial aspect of this, by the way. Everything about it isn't just about selling copies of the game. Well, actually, I should say everything about this is about selling copies of the game. Which is fair. Okay, that is fair. There's got to be some sort of incentive for Nintendo to run a tournament, right? They're not just doing these things out of the kindness of their heart to throw a bone to the competitive community. That's not at all what's going on here. It's totally understandable to recognize that Nintendo says, this needs to help our bottom line. And that's the whole point of this tournament, is to do that. But everything that is frustrating about this tournament from a competitive player standpoint, or from somebody from the competitive scene standpoint, is built around this concept that the Nintendo tournament is just one giant commercial. And when you start to look at everything this tournament is through the lens of, oh, it's just a giant commercial, it starts to make sense why they do certain things that you would never see done anywhere in any other tournament that's run in the competitive Splatoon scene. Why do you have to counterpick every single mode first before you can repeat a mode in the counterpick session? You have to play through all 4 modes before you can even think about going back to Splat Zones. Why is that? So that when you're on stream, every single mode gets showed off at least once. If it was just, you get to pick Splat Zones over and over and over again, that's not going to look good on stream. They want to be able to talk about Clam Blitz, and they show you the rules for Clam Blitz. And here's Rainmaker, and let's talk about 9. Can you tell us what you think about Rainmaker? Well, Rainmaker is where you pop the rain and you pick it up and drunk it to the pedestal, but you got to be careful. They want to show you all the different modes and everything the game has to offer, except for Turf War. They don't like putting that on stream anymore for some reason. Fair enough. Nobody's complaining about that. Why do the top 4 have to wait so long in between sets? It's so they can run more ads. You would never, if you had 4 teams in a double elimination tournament, you would never let that tournament last 5 hours. You have failed miserably as a TO if you let 4 teams take 5 hours to figure out who the top 2 teams. They're not even playing a grand finals out of that. That's basically a double limb group. And it's taken them 5 hours to knock that out. Why is it taking them so long to do that? So they can spend more time running stream ads, showing us those more commercials. Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, I'm going to buy the Zelda game. I don't need to see any more commercials of it. Just give me the daggum game. I'll buy it. Here's my money. Why? Now, here's something I noticed. I don't know if you guys noticed this as well, but I definitely noticed this. Why was the chat not disabled this time around? Because in the first Splatoon, first Showdown event, chat was disabled on YouTube. But for some reason, it wasn't disabled the second time around on Saturday, was it? Interesting. Could it have anything to do with the fact that Nintendo didn't cancel a Smash Brothers event very recently, right after? It's not like, maybe they are aware that people were going to be pretty pissed off about the whole Smash Brothers thing getting canceled. Maybe that's why they disabled the chat in the first tournament and didn't disable it in the second one because enough heat had died down and they can come back. And, hey, you guys all forgot about that, right? Okay, cool. Let's come back. Look, ProChar is on stream. Look at that. Zipcaster. Cool, huh? Yeah, nice little distraction there. That's just something I wanted to point out. Now, the stuff on stream is a giant ass commercial, right? Fair enough. But even the stuff that's not on stream is still designed around everybody who is not listening to the Popcast. If you are listening to this, hi, but you are a competitive player, or you at least know what competitive is. This is not a podcast that's catered toward casuals. I'm not saying if you're a casual, you're not going, I don't want you listening to this, but you're probably not going to catch up on some of the things that I'm spitting out here. Sorry, Dad, I know you listen to the Popcast, but you're going to be a little bit behind on the things that I say. But the stuff that goes on in this tournament that's not on stream is built around all the casuals as well. Let's get this out of the way. Ladder is the best format that Nintendo can use for this event. It straight up is. There are a lot of flaws with it, but if you want to keep your tournament to exactly 3 hours, it works. It's the only format where you have complete control of how long your tournament starts and ends, the actual time frame that's in it. It gets the most games for everyone that signs up for it, whether you are Crush Soda or you're Little Timmy and the littlest Timmy splats at the very bottom of the thing. It gives you enough for, there's something for everyone and an even skill level across the board. It is the most casual friendly format, which is the target audience of this tournament. People who are just bought the game and want something to do, or people that are like, hey, go buy this game and play in this tournament with me, which if you guys have played a Nintendo tournament, you come across many people who it's very obvious they bought the game like 5 minutes before the tournament started. It's like, how do you even function? Like, how did you even unlock private battle? It is mind-boggling how you're here. But that is the target market of this tournament, is casuals, which is what the ladder format is built for. However, ladder format, and if you are a TO from the competitive scene, you know this better than anybody. Ladder format is by far the worst format you can use for a competitive tournament because it's got so many flaws with it. And two of them I want to point out right now. So, the top 16 teams out of the ladder format move on to the single elimination stage of the tournament, which is played on a completely separate day. By the way, having your teams come back on a second day to play a single elimination tournament is another TO no you should never do, but who cares here. Now, the vast majority of these teams that made top 16 makes sense. Of course, it doesn't matter what the format are, these all are going to make top 16. Who are the last 16th team to make the spot here? SAC. Hats off to SAC. Congratulations on making top 16. If you're wondering who SAC is, though, they are a Div 10 team who plays in Low Ink and I believe plays in Little Squid League. If not, they're more than eligible for Little Squid League. Not dunking on them, saying they should not have. How dare they make top 16? This is an accomplishment they got. Congratulations to them. What's this team down here in the number 20 spot that didn't qualify for top 16? Heller. Didn't they just beat the dog crap out of DNA in a Ludi set yesterday without even using a crab? No Splash-O-Matic, and they won the house. Why are they number 20 and a Div 10 team's number 16? Well, because the RNG dice got rolled, and look who Heller played over and over again. Last Resort, they took a game off of them. Crush Soda took a game off of them, couldn't beat them. Played Sayonara twice, a team that escaped from that is actually going to Boston, lost twice to Heller, who didn't even make top 16. What in the world? This is why ladder is the dumbest format you could possibly use. Look at this. They played a murderer's row. Look, Tempest made top 16. Legato did. Sayonara twice. Crush Soda. Ascension. They beat Ascension. I didn't even see that down there at the bottom. This is the stupid. I'm sorry. Why the hell is this team not in top 16? And again, I'm not sitting here throwing shade at SAC or anything like this. I'm just using this as an example. Ladder is stupid. If you are a TO for the competitive scene, this is exhibit A through Z why you should never use ladder for an actual competitive tournament unless you just want to have a casual setting, so be it. Or actually the Ludi seeding thing, ladder is 100% perfect for that. That is what ladder's designed for. Just getting as many results as you can. But if you're having a tournament that feeds into a bracket stage, for the love of God, do not use ladder. The another issue with ladder is that, yes, while these teams make top 16, there is no way that the seeding for this is even close to being accurate. Let's take a look at the first tournament that was played in this event. Not the second one, which was last Saturday, but the one back in December. Look at this match. Starburst versus Sayonara. This is at the time, the quintessential, the peak of competitive Splatoon. The team that sits atop the throne and the main challenger, at least at the time, who is trying to dethrone them and take the spot. This is the match we all want to see. And it was great. It was streamed. I believe one of the Sayonara players streamed. I believe it was Sun. Watch this perspective. Sayonara looked like they had Starburst dead to rights. Game 5 was splat zones at mincemeat. And oh my gosh, why is that a thing? However, Starburst was able to clutch it out and win as they always do. They are so unbeatable in a Game 5 of a best-of-5 set, regardless of who they're playing against. When was this match played, though? Round 2? What? Why is Sayonara and Starburst playing in round 2 of any event? No. Why is Sayonara not even in the final 4 of this part? Because they had to play Starburst and Sayonara in round 2. For some reason, Starburst is the number 2 seed and Sayonara was the number 7 because the RNG of the format of the Turf War thing knocked them down to this. And we had the grand final set played between these two teams off stream in a best-of-5 single elimination format. But hey, the casuals got what they wanted out of this event, so that's all that really matters right there. Whoo, boy. All this combined shows the true purpose of this event. Sell more games, forehead. Now, don't for a second think this is a viable tournament for an esport. It's not. Can you use the results of a single elim for like your plus server voting? Yeah, sure. Can you use anything from the ladder format? Like somebody was at help desk last night of Low Ink saying, I made a great white bracket. How am I not banned from Low Ink? Well, you look at that great white bracket you made. The number 1 team in your group dropped and you had a 3-way awkward tie with the other teams and it just barely worked in your favor to make great white. Placements always hides information. Yes, SAC can say they finished 4 spots above Heller. Is SAC 4 slots better than Heller? No, we all know that, but placements hide information. This is not a viable tournament. It's just designed to sell as many games as it could. If it was a viable tournament, it would look 100% different. It would look totally different from what it was. This is better than the single limb they used to have. Like a 600 team single limb tournament is beyond bonkers. So this is better, but it's still not something that's viable and they don't really care about making it a viable tournament. My question is this though. The matches that they put on stream, the players that they put on stream are the ones who are basically demonstrating. They are the in-person salesman for the game. Whether they believe it or not, they are the salesman for the game. Did they really do a good job of selling the game to the casual audience, though? Now, from the competitive player, the sets that they put on stream were absolutely fantastic. Last Resort showed that they have grown up significantly from where they were when they first became a thing. Ascension looks like a legit contender, even though I think there's a lot more to Ascension than just Twig, because Twig is the only one that the commentators were talking about with Ascension. There's a whole lot more to that team there, but they both played really well. Crush Soda and Sayonara was a fantastic set to watch as well. It was great from a competitive standpoint. If you're a casual player, though, how many machines and splashes and crabs do you really want to see in a tournament? And at what point does Nintendo look at this and say, yes, this player who is really good at Charger is dropping Charger to use Splash-O-Matic because Splash-O-Matic is just that good. Even though everyone complains on Twitter about how broken Charger is, how talentless Charger is, how everybody can use Charger to be successful, we're still seeing the best Charger players in the world drop it to use Splash-O-Matic in a Game 5 scenario where it's win or go home. Is that really what Nintendo wants to see? Is that really what the casual audience wants to see? And somebody was talking about on Twitter, man, the audience really only cares about Pro Charger. Well, yeah, do you think anybody knows who any of you competitive players are unless you're a content creator? Of course not. It doesn't matter how good you are at the video game. If you don't reach out to the casual crowd, they're not going to know / care who you are at all. So, of course, Last Resort is the one team Nintendo definitely wants on their stream and probably helped out their viewership and chat a lot. And it also helps out that they're using some things that are slightly off meta. They got the Stamper, they got the Wiper, which is Nintendo's like, oh, thank God. Like, Last Resort is probably the poster child for what Nintendo wants on their streams. But the teams that are winning are using Splash, 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 Splash Machine. That's got to be a little bit annoying. And it's even the commentators. Even the commentators are starting to make fun of what's on stream. First off, I want to say this. Shout out to Nox. Congratulations to Nox for being a part of that broadcast. And I think they did awesome. I thought they did an awesome job from a commentary standpoint. Being a part of a Nintendo stream, I am assuming, is a way different stressful animal than any other tournament that you can be a part of. And Nox knocked it out of the park. Congratulations to that. But I mean, there are several points where they're literally just giggling. When Jordan's like, so what do you think this team needs to do if they want to get better? And they're just like, they just need to use Crab, bro. Like, all they got to do is just get Crab. I think it just comes down to what team can use Crab more. Like, they're trying so hard not to say what we're all thinking, which is Nintendo really needs to nerf the hell out of this thing because this is getting ridiculous. But they have to go about it in a PC way and be like, oh, well, just use Crab. It's a good special. Yeah, it is a good special. It's kind of broken, but it just kind of shows there's no way the target audience for this tournament really appreciated what they saw on that stream. And even there's some competitive players that are getting kind of bored of seeing that. I understand that. And of course, you can't really just, what the casual audience probably wants to see is, them using Aerospray and Clash Blaster and Big Swig Roller. By the way, is Big Swig still legal in Eeltail Alley? I guess maybe as a TO, I should start considering that for some of my events, but nobody even touches Big Swig. So, I mean, yeah, you can't really just have, Aerosprays and Clash Blasters, whatever other, there's probably some other weapon that's really casual friendly that they feel like is broken, should be played in competitive, that's not. So you can't really have all those things on stream. I get that. But look, the Nintendo tournament as a whole, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. All right. I'm excited to see the Boston trip, and I'm going to watch every second of that stream. And I'm excited for the players that able to find a way to win the top four. The top four teams you got there, I think, are all the top four teams that should end up there anyways. It doesn't really matter what kind of format you go through. I don't see a way where Crush Soda, Destiny Bond, Starburst, and Sayonara are not the top four teams that move on to the Boston trip. So it all worked out in the end. And they're going to do some sort of stupid seeding to where Crush Soda and Starburst are going to play each other in round one because they didn't get enough Turf War points or whatever. So, like, the true grand finals isn't going to be actually played in grand finals. We all know that's going to happen. But it's still going to be something enjoyable to watch. And the CS team, Crush Soda, are they going to go by computer science at some point? That seems to be the next CS team that they're going to go with. That isn't the actual thing that CS stands for. The Nintendo tournaments, though, are harmless. And they don't disrupt us anymore. What would be frustrating is if we had to cancel everything and this Nintendo tournament came in and it was like, this is what's going on. We are Walmart going on and we're closing down every mom and pop business going around this place. No, we can fight against Nintendo at the same time. Proving Grounds went on at the same time as the Turf War event. I didn't care. I said, let's do it anyways. We got just as many teams as we always did. Had a fantastic stream. We ran up against it. It worked out just fine. We've done low ink during Nintendo tournaments before. SAC was running at the same time as the Nintendo stream. We're fine. Nintendo doesn't disrupt anything that we do in the competitive scene. It certainly doesn't disrupt anything that goes on in Europe, Australia, South America, all these other countries and regions that Nintendo just completely forgot exist. It doesn't disrupt them. There's still tournaments that they need to play in. And yes, now Canada has been welcomed back in, as well as Mexico. Sorry, Panama, you're still not a part of North America, at least as far as Nintendo is concerned for some other reason. My point is this. Nintendo doesn't dominate the scene, and we're not scared of going up against Nintendo. And that's fine. And the 99% of the people that play Nintendo tournaments won't play in anything else anyways. I'm convinced that a good chunk of them know that Little Squid League exists, that Low Ink exists, that all these other tournaments exist, and probably are just like, that's not what I'm interested in. I don't want to play competitive stuff. I just want to play Turf War against other little casual players like myself. And that's fine, and that's great. Now, I'm glad Nintendo provides the opportunity to do that. Just don't think for a second that these events are anything but a giant commercial, because that's all this tournament is. Ugh. And that's enough talking about Nintendo. I guess I just turned that into a giant Nintendo commercial as well. Oops. Let's take a look at some of the things that are actual tournaments that went on last week. It is now time for the weekly recap. SOS number 95, or as it's more commonly known as Smoothie or Somebody Else. Well, this time it wasn't somebody else that won it. In fact, it was Smoothie winning, I believe, their third SOS event. They beat Yo, That Hard Jump. What kind of phrase is that? I don't understand. Basically a slow start pickup. Nawwal Gaming took third place. Smoothie winning their third SOS events. This one probably a little bit more impressive than the other ones. The team they beat in a game 5 of that grand final is a little bit more significant. Hammerhead was won by Espresso. Make a Bracket was won by Orca Balestra. And Lantern Bracket was won by Avian, whoever that is. Proving Grounds number 5 was played on Saturday. The team that won this one was, am I pronouncing this correctly, Smoothie, yet again. Ouroboros took second place and Prelude finished third. Smoothie completing the IPL sweep, winning both SOS and Proving Grounds in the same week. I don't think anybody else has done that. There might have been somebody who won an SOS and a Testing Grounds in the same week, but I don't think anyone's run a Proving Grounds and an SOS at the same time. But the real story here, other than Smoothie winning 2 tournaments in the same week, is the new team that finished in second place, Ouroboros, who was very impressive in their debut tournament, with NM being the only player really recognized on their roster coming up to this one. NM, Abram, Dizzy, and Scott made up that team. They beat Prelude twice in KT Definitivo, and they swept Half Sin and gave Smoothie everything that they could handle. for that tournament. So congratulations to Ouroboros. It's nice to have more teams at that smoothie, nightmare, prelude, Div 1 skill level that makes these weekly tournaments more exciting to play at. Nintendo's second event concluded on Saturday. Crush Soda and Sayonara being the two teams that advanced completely out of it. Last Chance going and Ascension had some strong showings. However, they finished fourth and third place. Ascension in third place. Last Chance in fourth. Nothing to sneeze at there. I believe 172 teams played in that tournament. Another 325 were pending. Wow, my goodness, that many teams were pending through that event. Couldn't find a way to sign up. Unfortunate. Ludi week number 4 mostly came to a conclusion. As I was going back through looking at the teams I got listed down here, some of these matches might have been like replays from week 5, but here's the 4 matches that were reported last week and were in week 4 that were notable to me. In Div 1, the Micklin Hero Squad was able to get a 5-4 win over Prelude. In Div 8, the Ocean Bottom Blitz got a 5-4 win over Sparkling Sea. Div 2, Twilight Cruzada got a 5-3 win over Honeycomb. Honeycomb with an exclamation point, so it's critical that you give a little emphasis to that. Div 4, Ink Pressure got a 5-4 win over Ink Sync. In Div 11, Octo and Squids United got a 5-4 win over Dap Me Up. In the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars came back 27-0 to beat the Chargers in the most notable game. The Dallas Cowboys are going to find a way to lose to Tampa Bay tonight. Probably kick a field goal at the wrong goalpost or something. The Chiefs had a bye, so they didn't get to play this week. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by Ludi Tonight, the most impressive Ludi broadcasting service that is out there. And it has always been a question of all these Ludi matches that are going on. At what point is somebody just going to stream them? And Falco and Friends was able to pull it off. They've been streaming pretty much every single day, it seems like, for several hours at a time, have been grinding these sets. So there you go. Ludi Tonight, the official, unofficial sponsor of this week's episode of the Weekly Recap. I'm a Vikings fan and I'm disappointed. Well, that comes with the territory of being a Vikings fan. You know what you signed up for. Popgun, how many teams did you ban from Lowink yesterday? I saw like 8 tweets. I didn't ban anybody. I was just the messenger that banned. We, as Lowink as a whole, banned those teams. And the reason we DM'd them is because we allowed it up to them how they want to pronounce it. Now, I know whenever I'm the one DMing them, that they're always going to screenshot and share my screenshot across the board. That's why I keep it so simple. And they always ask the follow-up question, can you tell me what specific results resulted in me getting banned? And it's like, nope. Because I know you're just going to screenshot it and share it with the world. And then that one team be like, what do you mean? They got banned because they beat me in a tournament? They only beat me because we DC'd. We weren't really trying that hard. We were just baby the whole time. Wow, they just banned anybody. So it's like, nope. You're just too good. Go away. So that's the answer to your question. If we wanted it to be public knowledge, we'd tell you. But mostly we just do that handle on privately and let the teams decide if they want to share with the world that they're banned or not. By the way, being banned from Lowink does not mean you're mid-level. It does not mean you're Div 4. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're should be winning SAC. It just means we think you're too good for our tournament. That's it. Like what implications that means for other things outside of Lowink is not our prerogative and is not our jurisdiction. We just get out of our tournament. That's it. It is a rite of passage, but whatever rite of passage you guys think it is up to you. We don't care. You'd have the Sinnoh NFT by now. You can get maybe we'll make like a Lowink best fan award or something like that. You can get that, Ty Oster. Except you probably won't. You'll find a way to lose that one too. SAC qualifier number 1. Let's talk about SAC and then let's call it a day. So the 6th season of SAC is now underway. The 6th season of SAC, but is it really the 7th one? Remember the first season? How many of you people played in the very first season of SAC? I know the Grillers did. I know Splat Force did. Sploot Troops definitely did. I still got this listed down somewhere. Who all did we play in Season 0 of SAC? And it was Season 0, by the way, not Season 1. Tyrant Inc., Sons of Anarchy. Oh, I didn't know Tsunami played in that one. We played against a team called Splatter Survive, and I remember us making fun of that because it made no sense. Splatter Survive, that makes no sense. Shouldn't you splat to survive? It doesn't seem like there's two separate options that are different from each other. Ragnarok, yes, that's a good example. That wasn't the fourth dimension. The Season 1 was when Bagel came onto the scene. But yeah, Season 0 was like Ragnarok, Sons of Anarchy, Tsunami, and I completely forget. I would assume Tsunami won that whole season. I think Inc. Alpha played in that one as well. Regardless, Season 0, whatever you want to call it, we're here where we are right now. First off, before we get into anything else in this segment, a big round of applause. Congratulations for Synergy to finally find a way to win a qualifier. Synergy finally won an SAC tournament. Congratulations. Man, they've always been the bridesmaid, never been the bride, and they finally got a way to get it done. They've always been like the number 1 seed in the bracket, and then just like get eliminated in round 1 or make grand finals or something like that. They were the number 1 seed because they accumulated so many points in the finals of last season, but they never won an actual qualifier. And they were down 2-0 to Armageddon in grand finals of this last tournament on Saturday. And it's like, oh, here we go again. But then something changed. Something magical happened in Synergy. Just like Ash in the most recent Pokemon tournament in the anime. Finally found a way to get Pikachu energized and beat their way through and win a qualifier. Nicely done, Synergy. Hats off to that. Now that we got the actual tournament out of the way, here is the thesis of this segment that I'm coming up with here. We have seen little squiddling numbers increase, most recently as of late. Maybe that might have been a redundant segment. We've seen little squiddly numbers increase as far as team participation is seen. Low ink numbers obviously have skyrocketed, and we might even reach 200 by the end of registration on Saturday. I don't think we'll actually have 200 play because we'll kick a bunch out because they can't sign up correctly. But we're going to have a lot of teams sign up for this upcoming low ink. The SAC numbers you would assume would be bigger than what they are. If Little Squid League is going up and Low Ink is going up, and both of those groups and then some are eligible to play in SAC, in theory, SAC should be getting well over 100, probably about 200 teams signing up for their qualifier events. So why is that? Why are we not seeing the same kind of jump in SAC that we've seen in the other two events? Full disclaimer right off the bat, yes, SAC is under the IPL umbrella. So it is kind of awkward for me to be openly talking about SAC when it is a tournament that is technically underneath one of the orgs that I have a pin for and a little sticker here for. The disclaimer is this: I have absolutely no hand in SAC. If the tournament is not involved in me, I don't stick. If I'm not involved in a tournament, I don't get involved in it. So there you go. These are not like I have absolutely nothing to do with this SAC tournament. Same thing with SOS and Reef Rushdown. Just Proving Grounds and Low Ink are my babies when it comes to IPL. But SAC should be having more teams than the other tournaments that are coming on combined. So should LSL in a sense. Yes, LSL just had their biggest amount of teams sign up for their tournament, just under 64 teams. But even them should be a lot bigger than what they are. So why is Low Ink massively bigger than those two tournaments? Literally those two tournaments combined. It comes down to market share. Like how much, or name branding, how much name recognition that these things have. Low Ink is going to be trending on Twitter this week. Sorry, not sorry. I know a lot of you in chat are well beyond being banned from Low Ink. Tough cookies. We're gonna dominate Twitter yet again. It's what we always do. I'm never gonna apologize for that, unless I just did. So that plays a big role into it. And SAC should have a bigger branding than Little Squid League. SAC's been around for at least, 2019? So this is the 4th year in which SAC has been running things, because their first tournament was January 2019. In fact, they should be celebrating like their 4-year anniversary at some point this month if they haven't already. Little Squid League has been around for 26 tournaments, but they haven't, they're only recently starting to get a lot more recognition outside of just this podcast that we've been getting here. And we'll see where they go from there. So it's understandable that Low Ink's going to dominate both of them because it's just the bigger animal. There's more people that recognize Low Ink than the other two events as combined at this point, and that could change in the future. But SAC should have a bigger target audience to go after. What happened to all those people that got kicked out of +3? Like all gazillion and a half of those people that got kicked out of +3, and all the people that stayed in +3. In theory, according to the rules, they're all still eligible for Low Ink, or not Low Ink. They're all still eligible for SAC. God, you guys wish you were still eligible for Low Ink. So why weren't they coming out and playing in this one? The approach that SAC is taking to try to drum up interest between last season's pass and this one is bringing back their podcast. I remember in season 3, I believe was when Destiny Troops finished in 2nd place overall in the grand final. Still upset about the losing to Xanadu in that one. But one of the main things they were doing there during that whole season was a podcast, and they were talking about every single tournament at the end of it and giving their thoughts on the teams that are playing in it and making predictions and things like that, and, you know, gritting storylines like a podcast should be doing about competitive Splatoon. And it was pretty successful then, and it helped drive interest in that season. That is what the Popcast attempts to do here. The main reason people listen to the Popcast, at least initially, maybe not anymore, I don't know, was that I say nice things about you idiots in chat. And people like it when you say nice things about them. And at the time when I was starting off, nobody was talking about low level. So I said, what happens if I just spend an hour a week talking about low level? Turns out it's pretty good. It's a pretty good thing to do. People like it when you say nice things about them. Understandable. So SAC bringing back their podcast, already ran their first episode. I'm assuming they're going to do their second one at some point this week. I don't know if it's today or if they're just doing it, whatever. I don't know when the next one is, but they're planning to do a lot more podcasts to keep everything going. Bi-weekly. Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Boing. So next Monday is when the next episode of that is going to be. So it's good that they're bringing that back. But more teams, you can't create more storylines unless there's teams to actually talk about. And there's plenty of teams for them to talk about. But my point is this. Should we be looking at more teams signing up for this tournament, though? Because more teams, as I pointed out recently, with all the teams been signing up for these other tournaments, more teams doesn't necessarily mean that the tournament is going to be better by any stretch of the imagination. Low Ink teams are the teams you want to go after if you want to make your tournament fatter, if you want to make your tournament have a lot more teams in it, if you want your majors to hit like the 150 mark, you got to pad it with Low Ink teams. In a tournament like this, do you really want Low Ink teams playing in SAC? Now, if you are in a Low Ink team, you should want to play in SAC. You should want to go in, get your butt kicked, go 1-4 or 2-3 or whatever, take those losses to those teams that are clearly a step above you so that you can learn, oh, this strategy that I use in Low Ink that really works well in Low Ink doesn't work against players that actually know how to counter it. Now I know how to adjust the thing that we've been doing that works, and that's how you grow and that's how you get better. So if you're a Low Ink team, there's something to get out of playing in SAC. But if you are an SAC admin, you really should not care about low ink teams at all. At all. In Proving Grounds, I've been very vocal about this. If you're a low ink team, I don't want you anywhere near Proving Grounds. I'm not going to ban you. I'm not going to put a skill floor in a tournament, because putting a skill floor in a tournament is absolutely insane unless it's an invitational. But the more low ink teams you have sign up for your open events or higher skill capped events, it just bogs things down for everybody. The mid-level teams, whatever mid-level is, that sign up for SAC don't want to waste time playing against low ink teams. They want to play against teams around their skill level. That's what they're getting out of these tournaments. So the more time they spend playing low ink teams, that's time that's just being wasted getting to the matches they actually want to play. This really should be groups, though, because this tournament should not be catered to low ink teams at all. So if this tournament was groups instead of Swiss, then those low ink teams that are signing up for it are going to get exactly what they're looking for. Nothing but teams that are going to beat the dog crap out of them. If you get placed in groups, you're in your low ink team, you're at the bottom, and you play monster after monster after monster. You get exactly what you're looking for in that tournament. They already do seeding anyways. And Swiss is, it's not ladder like the last segment I just talked about, but Swiss sucks. And I hate doing Swiss for low ink, but I've explained time and time again why we have to do it. But other tournaments that do Swiss, I don't feel like have the same justification that we do for doing their tournaments. Now, I'm not sitting here pounding the table, SAC should do what I say. No, I'm sure they have a good excuse for doing Swiss. But if their tournament is not catered to low ink teams at all, and it was just groups, the tournament gets run quicker. You get to your top cut faster. The teams that like playing against each other play against each other more often, and you're not stuck with the stupid Swiss RNG. And low ink teams shouldn't be playing low ink teams in SAC anyways. What's the point of that? They can play each other anywhere else. That's not a selling point to play in a tournament. So more teams, it's just going to create more situations where you have to do Swiss or more Swiss groups, so that you can cut down on the amount of times with that. But if you cut down, you trim the fat and you get less teams, that's when you can do those more intense formats that are a little bit quicker and a little bit more fun. I don't think that's the deterrent, though. I don't think that's not why. I don't think the format is why we're not seeing more teams that SAC is actually targeting signing up for this event. I'll play in any format. If the teams I feel like are at my skill level and are going to be fun to play against, I'll play in that tournament. I don't really care what the format is. I mean, I would prefer some formats over each other, but I'm not going to flat out refuse to sign up for a tournament based off of specific formats that have it there. I don't think that's the issue here. The question is, who should even be allowed to play in this event? Because we're sitting here, we're looking at low ink. Where does because there was in SAC Season 3, Boys failed to win a low ink tournament. A week later, they won an SAC qualifier. That should not be happening. Like the SAC and low ink was the same thing at that point. It was the same exact thing, same exact skill level, even though it was clearly defined to be different. That should not be happening. And then you had the correction of a team winning SAC or low ink and not even coming close to making gold bracket in the following seasons after that. And that's where it should be. And I don't know where things are right now, but you should still see a little bit of a divide between those two. Now, how much of a divide is there supposed to be? I don't know. And with skill levels constantly changing and more people getting banned from low ink than ever before, who should and shouldn't be allowed to play in this tournament? I don't know. It's too hard to quantify. You know why there's no such thing as a mid-level? You know why mid-level doesn't actually exist? Because there's no way to determine when you're too good for mid-level. There's no way to determine when you are officially a high-level team. There is no way. There's no justifiable way. Well, it's when you beat a couple of these teams, or, oh, it's when you're Div 1. Oh, it's when you're +2. It's okay. Those are all opinions. But you people did just say, oh, I got banned from low ink, now I'm mid-level. Okay, that's not a real thing, but you can call yourself that. Anybody can call themselves mid-level player. Anybody can do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. When do you stop being a mid-level player, though? There's no way to determine that. So because of that, you can't have a mid-level because there's no justifiable way to say when you're out of it. It doesn't make any sense. Personally, I think the cutoff for this tournament is fine. Yeah, is it weird seeing Narwhal Gaming in there? Yeah, but I mean, it would be weird if Smoothie was in there. Because Smoothie is winning these weekly tournaments, and they're also Div 1 like Narwhal Gaming. But I saw Narwhal get beat pretty... it wasn't convincing. They got beat 5-1. Narwhal was in every single game that they played against Smoothie yesterday. But it would be weird if the teams that are winning the weeklies are still playing in SAC, because the rules kind of justify they might be able to sneak in. But the amount of the teams that were actually playing in this one, Armageddon and Synergy being in grand finals, I feel like that's perfect where that kind of cutoff is. The problem is the cutoff includes a group of players in this community that just doesn't like playing in skill cap tournaments in general. So the amount of people that could legally play in SAC just flat out won't, and maybe never will. That's the problem here. That is the point. The target market for SAC is not coming out and playing in SAC. And again, I don't think it's the format. I think the issue here is the players itself. Could the TOs be wrong? No, it's the children who are wrong. And it's understandable so. If you are a quote-unquote mid-level player and you've graduated from low ink, you've been kicked out of low ink, the players in this group have entered, as far as their competitive careers are concerned, their teenage years of being a competitive Splatoon player. And when you become a teenager, both in your competitive career and as an actual human being becoming a teenager, that is the point in your life when kid stuff, the things you used to enjoy, suddenly become uncool, and it's not something you want to be a part of anymore. And it's, I can't be doing this. You want to start becoming more mature things. You want to, I'm playing skill cap tournaments. No, I want to do open invite stuff. If any of you have seen the Goofy movie, you've come to the right podcast. If you have not seen the Goofy movie, you need to go do that. That is required viewership that is required viewing to be a part of the Idiots in Chat here on the Popcast. The Goofy movie is a great example of a coming to life kind of scenario. When Max was probably a kid, he probably loved going to Lester's Possum Park with his dad. But in the movie, when he goes to Lester's Possum Park and Goofy is like, you used to love this one, and Max is like, oh, I hate this. And it's hilarious. The puppet scene just makes me laugh out loud the entire time. I still enjoy that as an adult. But it's a perfect example. When you become a teenager, the things you did before aren't always fun or cool. You want to do other things. So when you are somebody who graduated out of low ink after spending all that time grinding in a skill cap tournament, and then it's all of a sudden, oh, well, I'm going to go play in this next skill cap tournament in SAC, and everybody you're hanging around with is like, SAC's not cool, it's skill cap. You want to play in other stuff. And they're like, oh, I guess I can't play in SAC then. The proof in this is the amount of teams trying to add illegal subs in this past tournament. Because in open tournaments, you can just add anybody you want at any point in the tournament. I don't care. In Proving Grounds, I don't care. Just let me know who the player is so you don't like try to sneak in some sort of code of conduct ineligible player into our tournament. But like, as long as it's just tell us who it is. I don't care what point in the tournament it is. It's like, all right, fine. We'll just put them on the roster. Here we go. We don't care. You can't do that in a skill cap tournament, though. You can't just add subs willy-nilly because everybody has to be verified. And if you try to add somebody in the middle of a tournament, staff has to verify that player in the middle of the tournament before they can add them to the roster to see if they're even eligible for the tournament or not. And staff can't do that. That's why you have to submit sub applications ahead of time so staff can verify them. And the amount of people that were playing in SAC and tried to just add a player to the roster mid-tournament and then actively complained when the DO said, no, you can't do that, is case in point example of why there are a lot of people that are not interested in playing in skill cap tournaments because they come with certain kind of restrictions that are required with skill cap tournaments that they're used to not having in open invite tournaments. So that's the stigma that SAC has to deal with. They have to fight this uphill battle of defeating that stigma of playing in skill cap tournaments is no longer cool, which is the target market that they're going after. They're basically going after a bunch of teenagers in their competitive, not like actual age teenagers, but like in the competitive career that they're in, the teenage that they're in, where they have to understand, hey, no, playing in this tournament is actually cool. This is something you actually want to do. I think the podcast is a good step in that direction. But it's just an uphill battle that might not be something they could actually win. But that is the main, but when you talk about why more people aren't signing up for SAC, I think that is it. I think that's the hitting the head on the head. So good luck to them. My advice, because I interact with teenagers all the time, both in this scene and IRL and in my job. It is a struggle, but believe it or not, I was a teenager once. My advice for dealing with teenagers in any kind of situation, just treat them like adults. You show them respect and they will give you respect right back. That has been something that I've discovered when interacting with teenagers. So give them groups instead of Swiss. That's the first step of showing them results. That's my advice. Highlighted messages. Roundy says, I'd run groups in if SAC was one off, but groups is really bad for point circuits since your point gain from one tournament can get screwed by a drop or over/underperforming group. Understandable as so. That is a fair point. And it is a circuit, not just one tournament. These are qualifiers, not just like standalone things. Nobody remembers who wins qualifiers. They remember who wins the whole tournament. Who won last season? I forgot. Fardos. That's who. That's a fair point. But I wouldn't be surprised if that still leads to the point of, if you don't like Swiss and you hate everything that goes along with it, that, that doesn't mean that, oh, well, I'm going to sign up because of that kind of point. But it's still, at least it's justifiable, I guess, is the point that you're getting to there. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Popcast. Enjoy the holiday for everybody. We will do Low Ink preview Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sorry to everybody here that is EU. You're going to have to stay up super late to catch that preview live. You can always check the VOD on YouTube. But if you'd like to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach out. My socials below: Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord Popgun, #5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok at Mr_Popgun. If you want to reach out to me for anything related to the Popcast, feel free to do so. If you want to reach out to me for anything related to Low Ink, do not do that. I will reach out to you if I need something from you. If you need something from me, go to Help Desk where one of the staff can handle it. And if it's something personal, go to Help Desk first and be like, hey, can I DM a staff? Do that first. Don't just cold call DM TOs. That we hate that so much. Also, don't GG me if we play in solo queue. I've been playing a lot more solo queue than what I have been as of late. I'm not a GG solo queue kind of person. So if you do, I'm not going to respond to it. Don't take that as me being cold. It just leave me alone with that. I just want to play the game. Let's go raid Negus. Enjoy the holiday. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. And I will see you guys on Friday. You were the Aerospray? If you were the Aerospray, keep that to yourself, Mr. Rookie.